Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. And, I don't think I need to tell any of you that the modern globalist food system is, it's frankly cruel to the health of patriots. And while I was able to lose over 60 pounds recently, I know that many hardworking Americans are out there stuck working long hours in this terrible Biden economy and are basically being forced to watch their health deteriorate. And with Big Pharma rearing its ugly head in doctors' offices across the country, I mean, our trust in our own physicians has frankly never been lower. But we do have a wonderful resource for all of you out there. Today, I'm joined once again by investor and food scientist Clint Winters, who's patented dozens of mega healthy supplements and compounds that have helped Americans get healthy and even more importantly, in a lot of cases, relieve pain. In fact, one of his supplements is the official pain relief supplement for the UFC for you MMA fans out there. And I know there's lots of them. So Clint, welcome back to the show. Great to have you again.
Thank you. Awesome to be here.
Oh, it's awesome to have you. So just give us a bit of your background and, what you do now to help people with their health.
Sure. So basically, by trade, I'm a medical scientist. So what that means is I put effort into creating new innovative ways to create nutraceuticals. So my passion and my direction has always been natural health. So basically anything that comes from the ground, anything that comes from food that can be turned into a supplement. So I work on delivery. I work on new ingredients that are groundbreaking, which one of those we're going to talk about today. That's what I specialize in, finding new, innovative, natural ways to really improve your health without having to go the route of drugs.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about Big Pharma out there. I could assure you, I don't think there's anyone watching right now who's a fan of Big Pharma, right? What research has Big Pharma hidden in the pain relief sphere? And how did you come across it? How did you discover that?
So, for me, sadly, it started with my mom. So I know I've talked to your audience before about Canola Dyne and how it started and how I researched it for my mom. But of course, she was diagnosed with cancer, and cancer, for anyone who's dealt with it, is a very, very painful disease, especially when you start going through chemo and radiation and everything else. And I was searching for a way to not have to have her take painkillers, because what they gave her was oxy, which is terrible, and morphine. And let me tell you that the worst part of it is even before we officially lost her, we lost her mentally.
Yeah.
Like, she couldn't communicate with us. It was just I don't know. It was really, really tough. It was really tough to watch her and see her degrade like that. So during that time, I started to research and I found Canola Dyne, and Canola Dyne was a natural pain reliever that could have had the effects of morphine without any side effects. We could have had that time back with her.
Right.
And that is, once I started to really research that and then do my own research into Canola Dyne, bring it to the public, it was something that was mind blowing to me, because I couldn't imagine how this was kept quiet. I couldn't imagine how this was something that wasn't brought, to the forefront, because every single day people are being affected by opioids. People are being affected by addiction. They're being affected by finding things outside of pharmaceuticals because they lost their access to pharmaceuticals, like hardcore drugs, all these things that are happening.
Right.
People are dying. Canola Dyne was there, and they weren't talking about it. And it's sick. It was all
And why? What on earth? Why would they want to hide something like this?
because of this is where it gets tough, is profits. It's all profit driven. So you have to realize they're in the business of creating synthetic products, synthetic drugs that they can patent. Once they patent, they have protection. They get FDA approval. They go to the mass market, and it's a license to print money. They make billions and
Right.
billions and billions of dollars. So
Right.
that's what they're waiting for. So while we're waiting, we're basically being, the bill's being paid by American blood.
Right.
Is essentially what's happening. So all this time, as we're waiting for that process to happen, they're not saying a word. They own supplement companies. They could have released this they just haven't. They've sat there and watched people suffer, and that's why I have a tough time with big pharma, trusting them, listening to what they're saying, because every decision they make is profit driven, not health driven.
And it's so, in other words, it's basically the same thing we saw during COVID in many respects. There were all kinds. We now know there were all kinds of treatments. There were all kinds of options, but but all but a very select few got suppressed, as we now know through the Twitter files. Were deliberately suppressed by the powers that be in the name of profits.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what it's the exact same thing. So natural solutions are powerful that could have helped. Like that's the whole point is
Right.
delivering information that could help.
Right.
And they just don't do that. It's all about profits, and
Yeah.
people suffer every day because of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so horrific, especially when you get in the whole notion of informed consent, how everyone should have the right to make their own decisions in terms of that and how it's hidden. So how does Canola Dyne work? It sounds it's fascinating. I mean, in fairness, I do take one of these supplements, and I do find it works wonderfully. So maybe you could tell me how it works here.
Sure. So basically, once I uncovered this research, I then, as you now know, as we've talked about before, I got into actually producing Canola Dyne. So like patenting the process and getting it into production so people do have access to Canola Dyne. So GDR Labs, Game Day Ready, is the parent company of Cano CB2, is the first company in the world to offer a Canola Dyne solution, which I'm very proud to be a part of that. As far as how it works, I want to make sure this doesn't turn into a high school science class.
Yeah, layman terms
on a whiteboard. But the simplest way to describe it is this: inside of our body, we have natural painkillers. So that natural painkiller is called an endorphin, and we know this from, it's often called a runner's high. It's whenever you're doing activity, all of a sudden you feel great. Those are endorphins in your brain. Now, something that was interesting that even I didn't know until I researched it was endorphin actually stands for internal morphine. So that's where the entire Canola Dyne morphine comparison comes in. So I thought that was pretty cool. Basically, what Canola Dyne does is it optimizes your natural endorphin flow that you lose as you age. So what happens is you start to actually fight pain internally like you did when you were younger. So even when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, you revert back to how you were when you were much younger, fighting pain much easier. In a nutshell, that's what it does. And that's why it's so powerful, is because it's not tricking your body. It's not adding a chemical to your body. It's taking what you've already built inside of you and allowing it to run a lot better.
And this is literally the antithesis of the addictive nature of opiates and the like, correct?
And exactly. And that's another reason why I struggle with the fact that it was never introduced to the American population, because you're dealing with something that's drug-free. It's not addictive. Over 11 years of hardcore research, there's been no side effects. So it's safe. It's safe. It makes you feel good. You don't feel inebriated. You can get up and play sports, drive a car. That's why, athletes are falling in love with it now. They get relief, but they can still focus and go out and do what they need to do, on the field of play. So for our field of play, whether it's the office or whatever we do, that's important, because you can get relief and feel good simultaneously. So yes, it's the exact opposite of what you'd expect from anything that would be considered an opioid painkiller.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what I found so fascinating with it is to think of pain relief as a supplement. That to me was a paradigm shift, because when do we think of pain relief? When we're in, right? So I only take my ibuprofen when I got the headache and so forth. But this notion that, like you said, to pump up those endorphins each and every day, to massage them and get them working again, as it were, is a daily routine. It's something I should be doing on a daily basis. And then you get these amazing physical fruits, as it were, from it. Is this technically drug? Am I taking a drug? Is this drug free?
No.
Is it legal? What? Give us sort of the rundown there.
These are all great questions. So in order to have professional athletes use it, we actually had to get it certified drug free, which means it's sent off to a lab. They compare the ingredients of Cano CB2 with all the banned ingredients that are out there to certify. So it is 100% certified drug free. It's legal everywhere in the entire world. So you can throw it in your suitcase, travel anywhere you want. That's another big benefit to it is it's a totally legal ingredient. And no, it doesn't affect your body like a drug at all. Like you said, it's really the first pain relief supplement in the world. So we're used to thinking about pain relief as something that's on a case by case basis, whereas Canola Dyne, Condo CB2, actually primes your internal relief systems day after day after day after day. So you're supporting it just like you're supporting your brain, your heart, any other function inside the body that you're dealing with.
Wow. Yeah, and of course, if you're in sports like UFC and so forth, you can't be pumped up on drugs, or you're not going to pass your drug
No,
test,
you
right?
can't.
Right.
Totally. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you can't. And that's why this kind of innovation is really important for someone like an athlete, just because they're limited on what they can do for relief. Like a lot of the drugs that we think of as opioids, they can't find it in their system. They'll be banned. So it's not just like we think of performance enhancers as like steroids and things like that, but it goes much broader as far as what they actually can't use before competition. And painkillers is one of the things that they can't touch. And let's face it, lots of athletes, especially fighters, are in a ton of pain.
That's for sure. That's UFC particularly. That's right. So, explain to everyone you're actually really on the cutting edge of this. Does anyone else in the world produce Canola Dyne? Yeah.
No. So it took me about 2 years, and the reason is it's a very fragile ingredient. So it's actually an alkaloid. Canola Dyne's an alkaloid. It's very fragile to extract. I spent 2 years creating what's called dual polar extraction, which is a patented way to actually extract this alkaloid and suspend it. So it's not something that can just be kind of made on a whim. It took a lot of research, a lot of hard research into developing it. But the good news is we figured it out and it's available, and now people can enjoy the benefits of Canola Dyne without having to wait for some drug that's years off and probably way too expensive.
How long? Yeah, well, that's for sure. Yeah, and we know why, right? You're just closing the loop there. Yeah. How long did it take you again? Because you had to come up with the extraction process as well. This whole process, how long did it take?
So I started to really investigate extraction in 2017.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So good 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years into it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's constantly gotten better. It took a couple years to figure out extraction. Then it's been tested with about 35,000 people now in closed circuit testing. So it's heavily tested internally. Of course, all the testing we had to do to send it off for the drug free aspects. We added certain factors to it to help with absorption. We just constantly are making it better the entire time.
Little tweaks there. So, I mean, how can my audience avail themselves of this? This is wonderful stuff. Again, I've benefited immensely from it as a supplement in my life. How can my audience avail themselves of this?
So, because of you and your audience and, the great discussion we had last time about Canola Dyne, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a special link. You'll put it right on the screen or right below in the comment section. And that link is going to have a price that cannot be found anywhere. It's a very special price just for your viewers. It's for your listeners. And what's cool is it's going to be a price point that is similar to what you pay for a standard old, aspirin or something like that in a drugstore. We're making it super affordable, because at this point, all we want is people to get it out there and try it, because people don't have to be in pain. They don't. This is something they can try. It's a money back guarantee. Just try it, see how it works, because people are honestly shocked about how well Canola Dyne creates relief.
I have to admit, I was a skeptic at first. I'm like, oh yeah, right, another supplement or whatever. I am not a skeptic anymore. You have convinced. I think I told you last time, I've had this horrible back. I had it since I was a kid. It's been wonderful ever since I started taking this. It's just been wonderful. So, gang, make sure you click on the link below. Clint is offering us this wonderful deal. He's one of us, and we want your health to be taken care of. It's one of your number one priority. You can't fight for freedom if you're flat on your back all the time. So get out.
Sure.
And click on that link below. Avail yourself of this wonderful deal and opportunity that Clint is providing for all of us. And I couldn't recommend it more. Clint, thanks for coming back. This is awesome stuff. Again, I'm a big MMA fan, UFC fan, so I anything that they're taking to help them with their pain, I got no excuse. I'm gonna be doing it too. So you're blessing more lives than you can ever imagine. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. It was great seeing you.
Great seeing you too.